Hi everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Beats and Bobbins. This is a special follow-up edition to my first ever Beats and Bobbins episode I made almost a year ago now. It was called Best DJ Setup for Under $500. My thinking on this episode has changed since then, so I thought I'd make a follow-up episode, but I'm really excited to share this with you today. It's Best DJ Setup for Under $400. So stay tuned. So I should start by prefacing that this title, Best DJ System for Under $400, it's really the best system for me, right? I designed it for myself. My DJ workflow involves a lot of stems. I like modular gear. It's using the sync button. So this isn't going to be the best setup for everybody, but this is a system that I've been using and refining for almost a year now. It's one of my favorite setups to play on at any price point, really. And so let's take a look at what it involves. The setup consists of two Traktor F1s, which act as the decks, and a Traktor Z1 in the middle that acts as the mixer and as the audio interface. These are both discontinued items, which on the used market are about $350. I'm going to do a demo of this system and show you how it works, and then after that, I'll go into more detail about the hardware and how to use it. For this demo, I'm going to be playing my own beats. On the right deck, I make music under the name Rotary Farm. And on the left deck, I'm going to be playing some pitch down vocal stems to try to avoid any copyright notices. I feel like this is a growing skill for DJs in 2026, is like, how fire of a set can you make and how long can you play for without catching any YouTube copyright violation notices? So if you hear this upcoming set, you'll know that I passed the copyright check. So I'll just load a track into the left deck here. I'll load another into the right deck. I'm going to pitch this down quite a bit here and isolate the vocal stem. Here we go.
How can I do the things I wanna do when 90% of me is you? My heart no longer does what I want it to, because 90% of me is you. Gonna be the kind of woman that no man can move. I wanna have the kind of mind that no man can fool. I wanna look you in the eyes without getting weak in the knees. I wanna be able to do without you in spite of me.
You can't see my eyes, switch sides, switch modes like every single time, hate life. With the phone sitting in my side in the corner, smile where fear keep dipping inside. Baggies and balls, 6 a.m. been sitting here a while, been thinking about the ride home. Only problem here, sitting in the now, flying them birds, station pulling up files. Yeah, paper, pen, borrow, got me grinning like a psycho. Got the whip spinning outside roads, no sun tanning on the light post. Wanna be great, you just wanna go viral. Pain in my mind, brain back, low spine. Leaking me dry, need peas flying right. Stomach in my pride and I run and I hide and I seek for and all I can find.
Many cigarettes, lost in my chest. The doctor said, it's all in my head. Smile on my face, half dead. Bump at the best and I'll feel feeling fresh. Got another cigarette, lost in my chest. The doctor said, it's all in my head. Smile on my face, half dead. Bump at the best, now I'm feeling fresh.
Brothers on the slide, working on the wrong side. What you gonna do? You can't win, so you know you must lose. We know which way you're going. We know which way you're going.
So let's start by talking about the gear. Today we're going to be talking about used gear. I'm a big advocate for buying used musical equipment. I think environmentally it's a good decision. I know financially for me it's a good decision, but even creatively I think it's fun to be finding new uses for these tools that were designed sometimes to be doing something slightly different. I'm based in Berlin, so I'm using Kleinanzeigen, but I'm sure there's something similar to wherever you are, whether that's Facebook Marketplace or eBay. I usually set searches and get alerts when I'm following gear. Another thing I do sometimes is I'll offer to trade people. If I can't afford a piece of gear I'm trying to get, I'll offer to trade some other equipment that I'm not using in the studio. And this maybe has like a 5 to 10% success rate, but I have had success trading for gear in the past. And it's potentially a good time to be buying used gear, especially Native Instruments gear. If you're following, they're going through an insolvency right now. It's my impression that a lot of people are jumping ship away from Machine, away from Traktor. I really hope that Native Instruments can find a way to turn it around, because I love their hardware. I love their musical instruments, their VSTs, their software. But as people are looking for other alternatives, a lot of this gear is now showing up on the secondary market, which is what we're dealing with today. We're dealing with Native Instruments F1 gear on the left and right here. This came out in 2012. They're discontinued at this point. I find them here for about 100 euros, which is around $115 US. That's after negotiating. This is really one of my all-time favorite pieces of DJ gear. I've talked about it in past videos, so I won't labor on about it, but I just feel like it's a great way of playing with stems and playing with multiple different pad sections across the 16 pads. In the middle here, we're using the Traktor Z1. This came out in 2013. I got this for 40 euros. It was a deal at 40 euros. I think they go for around 80 euros or $90 after negotiating. This is a great, very basic, just workhorse, minimalist mixer. I suggest getting the original, not the newer version. There is a Mark II. Besides this being cheaper, for some reason, the VU meters actually work in Djay Pro. I don't think they work on the Mark II in Djay Pro. Correct me in the comments if I'm wrong on that. Also, the form factor sort of fits the same era that the F1s were made in. So if you're making this one sort of compact unit, everything fits together nicely. Also, there's a few less buttons on the original Mark I version here, which usually I would dislike, but since I want to keep the mixer as simple as possible, the extra buttons that the Mark II version has, we don't need anyway. So I really recommend the Mark I. They're super easy to find, and it's just a great, basic, simple audio interface and mixer. Now, I know these prices vary a little bit depending on where you are. I think Berlin is probably a particularly good city for buying used musical equipment. But as you can see here, if I'm just scrolling through, I did a search for Traktor F1 here. You can see listings for 120 euros, 100 euros, 100 euros, 100 euros. Some are for more. I think if I was going to buy one right now, I'd probably answer any ad that's 140 or less, and I'd offer 100 euros, and they'd probably say yes. The Traktor Z1, I'll just scroll through quickly here. We have listings for 55 euros. We have 85 euros. I think the going price for this in Berlin anyway is like 85 euros, 80 euros, something like that. I've had really good luck buying used equipment online, especially Native Instruments gear, which in my experience has held up really well. The things that I would check first are any connection points like the headphone jack, the RCA cable, USB. Make sure all those are solid. Test it before you buy it, plug it in, listen to it. And the second thing would be any faders or crossfaders. Those seem to be, if something's going to go, it's going to be that before any of the knobs or the buttons. And the biggest change between this setup and the version that I posted a year ago is the software that sits at the middle of it. So previously this setup was running in Traktor, which this hardware was designed to be using. And since then I've switched over to Djay Pro. And so now this hardware I MIDI mapped it so that it can talk to the Djay Pro software. The downloads for those MIDI mappings are going to be linked in the description below. They're there for free. And I won't talk too long about this, but the decision to switch to Djay Pro is one that I have not looked back on. I have really enjoyed using Djay Pro. At a minimum, it's made all the track prep go away. It just analyzes tracks instantly. The beat gridding is the best, I think, in the industry. Stem separation is great. It works on mobile. It's just a great piece of software. And so for $50 a year, for me, this is a great deal. There's no sponsored ad here. So Djay Pro, I'll put a link to that in the description below as well. So let's dive into the specifics of this MIDI mapping. In the middle, the mixer, the only thing I've changed in the MIDI mapping is this button that used to turn on and off the filter. Now this is our play button. Everything else functions as you'd expect. Up faders, cross faders. We've got headphone cueing, low, mids, and highs, trims, and main. Audio goes out to your system. USB goes into the laptop. F1s, we've also got just a USB going out to the laptop. Keep in mind you're going to need to have a powered bus for all this. You can't just plug them all straight into the laptop. You're going to need a powered USB port. So let's go through how the F1 works. These are identical. I've got them set up as deck 1, deck 2. Moving from top to bottom, these are our effects. So effects 1, 2, and 3. This is the dry wet for the effects, so this affects all of them. Then these buttons correspond with these, so this turns on and off the different filters. I've got effects 1 set to vinyl break. You can have a nice long one for when you're ending a set. FX2 I've got set to a gator. And FX3 I have set to an echo. So that's the effects, the dry wet, the effects on and off. This fourth button at the bottom is your sync on off. Then at the top we've got our stem controls, which are just as you'd expect. We've got drums, bass, harmonics, and vocals. This is your loop control. The middle button turns on and off the loop. And the left button's either half that or double that. So if you just put your middle finger on the button, you can kind of trigger on and off and then move the loops up and down. Just to show you quickly how it works, I'll set this to a 1-bar loop. We'll hit play. I can double it again, or I can take it back down the other way. The looping section also doubles as beat jump. So if you hold down shift, then these two buttons on the ends can either move backwards or forwards, so you can move forward quickly through the track. Moving down to the next row, shift toggles us into this play mode, which I'll show more of in a second. What's labeled as reverse is actually our shift one, so this is a little confusing. You got to have muscle memory for this one. Shift toggles on and off, playback mode. Reverse is the shift button. What's labeled as type and size, this is pitch down and pitch up. If you ever want to get back to the original pitch, you hold down shift and hit this and it'll snap it back. Browse toggles on and off the library. And then when you move the encoder, you can choose what song you want. And then when you press down, it loads that into a deck. The rotary encoder also affects the tempo. So when you hold down shift and move the rotary encoder, that moves the tempo. And then holding down shift and hitting the size button will snap it always back to 0. Moving down to the pads, on the top we have our hot cues as you'd expect, 1 through 8. The bottom 2 rows are slice mode, which I really like having front and center. 1 is mostly just for the visual feedback that it gets. I like being able to look down and see that this deck is on. For me, it's almost like looking down and seeing the vinyl spinning. Like I know that this deck is active and is moving. I can also look and see that this is lined up with the grid. I can see that it's lined up with the 1 beat. And then it can also be a fun tool for transitions and intros where it's, if you select any one of these pads, now this pad is chopped up across these 8 pads, and this can be something that can be played with like. And it can be just a fun way to do transitions and to bring songs in. And the last thing I haven't shown is this shift that puts you into this pad mode section. Once you go to shift, you see the colors change. Then across the top, we have pitch play, and across the bottom, we have beat loop. So pitch play, if you're on this pad and I hit shift, now that pad is spread across these. The original beat is here. It goes up from there or down from here. And so this can also be a way of doing transitions and intros. On the bottom is our loop roll, and so this will trigger a loop and loop on it at increments of 1/2, quarter, 1/8, 16th. Down here we have 1, 2 bars, 4, and 8. And this can be useful in a performance setting. I like to use it to sort of catch drums. So if it's playing and you can kind of listen for snares, for example. You can also do it on the kick. And then hitting this toggle button puts you back into the regular hot cue and slice mode. I have a diagram that shows how all these buttons are mapped. I'll include that in the MIDI mapping download page. And lastly, one of my favorite things about this setup is how easy it all packs up into a backpack. You can get all 3 components, a laptop, and room to spare. The installation is also really easy. I went over this in more detail in a past video, so I'll put that link in the notes below. But essentially, you're just going to download the zip folder from my site and double click on all the files and it'll install for you. And to quickly answer some questions I know I'm likely to get. Number 1, will this work on iOS? I'm afraid not. I know that the F1s are not class compliant, so they cannot work on iOS. We'll have to hope that Native Instruments puts out a F1 Mark II at some point soon. That would be amazing. Number 2, if you're looking for a more traditional setup, a lot of people recommend the Pioneer DDJ Flex 4. Digital DJ Tips recommends this, as does other places online. So take a look at that if you're looking for a more traditional setup at a similar price point. And lastly, if you're having problems getting Djay Pro to recognize the Traktor F1s, some things you can try are, number 1, making sure you're using a powered USB bank. If they're not getting enough power, Djay Pro won't recognize it. Number 2, update the firmware on the F1s. And number 3, make sure it's in MIDI mode. To put the F1s into MIDI mode, you just hold shift and browse and you'll see the lights come on. And one bonus tip is take a small piece of masking tape and roll it over and stick that underneath each of the feet. And this will keep this system, which is pretty lightweight, anchored to the table so that when you're starting to move around and really throwing switches, everything stays fixed in place. Thanks so much for watching. I hope that this setup can be as fun and useful to some of you as I know it has been for me. If you have any thoughts on how to make this system better, how to improve it, please leave those in the comments below. And then lastly, I'm trying to decide on what episode to make next. I've got all these ideas, so if any of these sound of interest to you, leave them in the comment below. I've got ideas to make Djay Pro MIDI mapping for an Akai APC 40. I've got other Djay Pro MIDI mappings that I could do for the Traktor S3, which is behind me now. The Rain 1 Mark II, I have a Djay Pro MIDI mapping for. I have an alternative MIDI mapping for the Mix Tour Pro. On the sewing side, I'd love to make some modular quilted covers for this gear. If that sounds interesting, let me know. And then on the software side, I've got a couple software projects in the works. One is a maps-based music visualizer, and the second is a piece of software for finding rhymes across different artists that you can use in DJ sets and music production. So if any of that sounds interesting, let me know in the comments, and that can help me decide on what episode to make next. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll be back with another episode of Beats and Bobbins soon.